Hi, this is Chapter 7, the cost approach in the principle of appraisal. The cost approach is based on the principle of substitution, which maintains that no prudent purchaser will pay more for a property than the cost of producing, creating an equally desirable substitute, provided that there is no delay in making the substitution. In other words, at any point in time, building values could cannot arise more than the reproduction or the replacement costs. This approach is best used when dealing with a new or proposed construction when it represents the highest and the best use of the site. It's also applicable in estimating the market value of unique and or special purpose properties when sales information is not available. Now, the basis of cost approach is the principle of substitution, where it is believed that the best use or possible use can be achieved either by purchasing the property or by building the same one or using its replacement or the reproduction cost. So in this approach, we are going to look at the cost side of things, where we would look at what it takes to build that particular property. So there are multiple steps involved in the cost approach. The first step is estimate the land or the site value, estimate the cost of of the building, including any attached or built-in structure, estimate the depreciation of the building, how much value of the building is lost due to its age, functionality, or location, and estimate the current value of the building, which is the cost of a new building minus the depreciation, and then estimate the the current value of other improvements, including detached structures or garage or landscaping, and add the current value of the site to the current value. Ensure that the so so essentially you add the value of the site to the current value of the structure. Ensure that by and ensure that the indicated by cost approach is appropriately rounded. Now, for example, there could be property which the land value is estimated at $250,000. The subject building is a 60 years old, 150 acre, 150 square meters, two-storied home, and the cost of building such a new home is estimated at $1,100 per square meter, which makes it over $165,000. The depreciation of the subject building is estimated to be about $41,000. Then the detached garage of the cost new estimated at $8,000, and with the depreciation at $2,000. So um, so the value of the garage will be cost new minus depreciation, which will be $6,000. The landscaping of a new landscaping would cost, let's say, $25,000. The depreciation of $10,000, it now costs $50,000. So the current value of the building, garage, and landscaping would be close to, let's say, $144,000. And the if we if so the cost as in, so the indicated value by the cost approach would be the land value, which doesn't depreciate, and the improvements in land, garage, and landscaping, which totals of $145,000. The total cost will be added to the land value, which will be and rounded off. Um, so that's how the cost approach is figured out. Now, site or land value. Now, in the unit of so how do you find the site or land value? The selling price of a lot or land or vacant land or sites are usually rounded to appropriate unit of comparison. The unit of comparison is usually determined by the physical attribute of the comparable sites and the subject site, so that the standard comparison of lot can be made. The standard unit of comparison can be applied to individual lots to formulate estimate of values. Ideally, they should represent value in terms of which lot are in fact sold. There are three units of comparison: bulk sale price, price per front foot, and price per square foot. Now, bulk sale price. A bulk sale price means a price per lot. It can be used when all the lots in a particular neighborhood are approximately the same size and where minor changes in the size may not affect the market value. Caution is ideally advised in bulk sale price, as These lack the precision of other units of comparison, such as the price per front feet foot or meter, or price per square foot per meter. Bulk basis is often viewed as a rule of thumb method as opposed to the precise method of site valuation. So one of the example will be, let's say, one developer is attending to value a potential development site. According to the preliminary plan, 15 or more equal lots can be created with no significant difference in value. All lots are relatively level with no distinguishing characteristics. View or simple value attributed to the abutting land. Based on the research, the lots are being sold for $34,000 each. Therefore, based on the bulk valuation, the potential value is like 15 multiplied by $34,000, which is $510,000. Price per front foot meters. This is a method of comparison that is regularly used in residential lots. The price per front foot meter conveys no information about the depth or width of the lot. So care must be exercised in using this unit of comparison, since the value of the site may not continue to increase beyond full frontage. Extra frontage may in fact be an indication of excess land, leading to proportional reduction in the unit value. For example, let's say one street is 10 by 70 meter vacant lot that is sold for $20,000. The selling price per front meter is $20 because the front is 10 meters, the depth is 70 meters. So just using the front price per front meter would be $20,000. Thus, the subject site is also a very similar vacant lot appearing to the same size of buyer, except it's 11 by 70. So using the front method, the subject price will be about $20,000. Of course, there is a physical or location difference between the two lots. The price of the front foot, the price per foot per meter of one lot may be to adjusted accordingly. The next method is per square foot method. For example, in this case, a price per square foot is often used as a valuation of apartment, commercial, industrial sites. This measure has widely high validity when used on a lot with size and depth that are standard for a specific neighborhood, but can cause difficulty when lots have excessive depth or unusual shape, since proportional utility must also be considered. Methods of valuing sites or lands. The two methods of land of site valuation with the highest and best use of the site would be the single family residential home. There's a comparative sales method and there's abstraction methods. Now, in case of a comparative sales method, also called as the direct comparison approach, we compare the subject site with at least three recently sold comparables. Comparable sites preferably in the same neighborhood. If there are improvements, the with regards to the comparable sites, ignore the value of the improvements and treat it as a vacant site. And a comparable site may maybe on a building or may have a building on it, provided that the building does not add any value to the land and the property is sold with a clear indication that the buyer would demolish or tear down the current building. And now the steps in the comparable site method would be select a sufficient number of good comparable sites that have recently sold in the market, gather all necessary data on these sites to make it a proper comparison, compare each of the sales with a subject for differences that may exist, make the necessary adjustment to the sale price of each comparable based on the differences, and reconcile the adjusted sale price of the comparables into an indication of value of the subject site. So elements of adjustment. It is unlikely that two sites would be identical. There are always going to be some differences. If the difference is significant enough, adjustment would need to be made. Six elements of adjustments are: right conveyed by the transaction, financing terms, motivation of the parties, market conditions, location, and physical characteristics. we would only be dealing with the most common adjustments that relate to the final adjustment, market conditions, location, and the physical characteristics. The two main methods of showing adjustments are percentages, most common for site valuation, and dollar adjustment. The process of making adjustments under the compare methods is essentially the same as used in the direct comparison approach. The examples can be can can be can be talked about here. Um, so, for example, there are three sites. The front meter for them is 10.4, 10.9, and 10.3. The sale price is $175,000, 181 and 192 respectively. So we can calculate the sale price per front meter, and we can do a time adjustment. So time adjustment, sale price divided by the front meter. Now there's a physical adjustment on it, the location adjustment, total net adjustment, full adjusted sale price. Now if there are three separate full adjusted sale price for front meter, and this is value range between 17104 and 17 for the front meter has emerged in the range. But then we look at the most recent sale and require the less number of adjustments as as indication of value. Clearly, this is the best method for valuing back insights. However, it is dependent on finding three adjacent kind of comparable sales sites. This may not be easy, although even in older neighborhoods, it's very, very common. It is often not. It is often common to find old homes being knocked down, providing the building and calculating adjustment in the comparative sale approach. The calculation of adjustment is same as the direct comparison approach. There is one exception, that is the calculation of physical adjustment. For comparative sales method, it is the total cost difference that is used in the adjustment. Subject site has poor drainage, whereas the comparable site has excellent drainage. The contractor can charge $100 to bring the subject site drainage in line with the comparables. Therefore, adjustment for physical differences is minus 10,000. The comparable being superior. Abstraction method. This method is used when there is insufficient number of non-comparable sales sites in the subject area. The idea is simple. First of all, you need to find a sale of property where site is similar or to the same in the subject site. Then, knowing the sale price of the property, all you need to do is to deduct the current value of improvements. The remaining number or subtract number would represent the value of the site, provided note the adjustment is made for difference between the sites and the location, etc. If the difference between the sites, you may also adjust the subtracted land value. The problem occurs in estimating the current value of the improvements and adjustment needed to abstract comparable sites. However, if there is no land or site improvement, this may be the only method available. So, so there can be example where the three comparable sites sale price were different because they were sold at different point in time. Then you make the time adjustment. You can adjust the sale price. We take the building value, and then we subtract the building value and the other improvements. We get the land value. We do a positional estimate. We get physical estimate. We get a total net estimate. So one of the items to note here is first we do the time adjustment, and then on the time adjusted value we do the location and the physical adjustment. That's when we get the adjusted land value, and then we take the front meter and then adjusted value per meter, and then we do the reconciliation. estimated building cost um, for the new. So there are two approaches to finding the building cost. One is the reproduction cost and the replacement cost. So reproduction cost new is the cost of construction at the current prices of the exact duplicate or replica using the same material, construction and design, layout, and quality of workmanship while embodying all deficiencies, super adequacies, and obsolescence of the subject building. Replacement cost is the cost of construction, the current price of the building, having utility equivalent to the building being appraised but built using modern materials and according to the current standards, designs, and layout. Method for arriving at the building cost new. The two methods which will be using in this course includes cost service method and the comparative square foot method. This is a method for arriving at the building cost. Cost service method is a method for estimating replacement cost using dollar cost provided by the cost service manuals. Cost manuals provide basic unit costs for a range of building structures of differing qualities. Also included are the cost of physical consideration, the fireplace, finish work, basement cost differences based on size and shape of the building. This information is provided in the form of photographs, charts, and tables with supplements provided on a periodic basis. These supplements furnish the estimated necessary time and geographic location adjustments. The present job is to select the structure within the user manual that is most similar to a subject property. Physical differences between the subject and the manual benchmark structure must be adjusted based on the amount obtained from the manual. Then geographical time and time differences must be taken care of with appropriate adjustments applied by the manual supplements. The cost service method can be effective method of estimating building costs provided that the appraiser selects the most comparable building and appropriate adjustments are made. No new buildings are identical, therefore adjustments are likely required, and accuracy of the cost service method depends on the appraiser choices. So the idea with the method of arriving at the building cost is a cost service method. It's estimating the building cost new. This is a reproduction cost new. This is the cost of constructing at the current prices of exact duplicate or replica, material construction standard, design and layout, and quality of workmanship while embodying all deficiencies, super adequacies, and obsolescence. The new method is the reproduction cost. The replace or the newer the building, it's more likely that reproduction cost would be used. Replacement cost, it is the cost of construction at the current price of a building that have utility equivalent to also a subject building but built with modern material, current standards and layout. The older the subject building, it's more likely that replacement cost would be used. So replacement cost is to be used mostly in the older building, and reparation cost is to use mostly in the newer buildings. Calculating building costs new costs is a cost average method useful for calculating reproduction costs new of the building when no comparables are available. The building cost is given in the cost service manuals applied to the entire city. And comparative square meter method. The method is used for the property is sold for the land value and the building does not add a value. Reconciliation done picking up the most recent sale. Apply the reconciled building cost per square meter to the subject. So first, final sales of new home properties on which the new building will be constructed, and that is similar as possible to the subject. Deduct the site value and other improvements. Make any necessary adjustment to the building cost, including those for time and physical differences, and reconcile the adjusted value. For example, say property of three properties are like 200, 218, and $208,000. Site value and the value of outside improvements. You deduct that, get the building cost, do the building cost time adjustment, then do a bathroom adjustment, quality of material adjustments, and recreation room adjustment, and get a total net adjustment, fully adjusted value used by the square meters of the house, get the adjusted cost per square meter. Calculating the depreciation of the building, they can be physical. So accrued depreciation. The accrued depreciation is the loss of value measured as a part of measured as the rate of appraisal, indicating difference between the reproduction cost new and the replacement cost new of the improvements and present worth of those improvements. Accrued depreciation is sometimes referred to as the diminished utility. The loss of value or diminished utility of the improvement to real property can be caused by following three kinds of depreciation: physical deterioration, functional obsolescence, and locational obsolescence. Physical deterioration is a reduction in utility and consequently a loss in the value resulting from the impairment of physical condition. Physical deterioration can occur as a result of wear and tear, decay, and structural defects. Example would be worn carpet, flaking of the paint, broken windows, curling shingles of the roof, kitchen cupboards, doors of the hinges, etc. Functional obsolescence is a loss in the utility or consequent loss in the value due to the inability of the building, any component part of the structure or any item in the equipment to perform in terms of today's standard and requirements. Standard and requirements could refer to the building or any component within it that is outdated, inadequate, unattractive, unappealing, or over improved. Example would be poor floor plan, 60 amp electrical service, new but unattractive carpeting, installation of 88,000 swimming pool in the house for $200,000. Those are like functional obsolescence. Location obsolescence is loss in utility, a consequence of loss in value. The structure incurs as a result of negative environmental forces beyond the boundaries of the property. Examples could be connected to the building, being located next to the gas station, car park, nightclub, major highways, etc. Understanding specific terminology. Before proceeding to calculate the depreciation of the building, it's important to understand the terminology surrounding depreciation. Economic life of a building. The period over which the improvement of a site contributes to the value of the property as a whole. The economic life of a structure refers to the amount of time that the structure from the date it is built would be useful or habitable given no renovation, administration, or modernization. Most appraisers would use 50 or 60% as a rule of thumb for physical economic life. In reality, economic life estimated by looking or researching at how long similar buildings in the similar to subject in the same neighborhood have remained or livable, useful, or valuable. Remaining economic life, the estimated life, number of years remaining in the economic life of a building from the effective date of the appraisal. You can extend the remaining life of the building by renovating or modernizing it. Actual age, the actual number of years that have passed since the structure was built, also referred to as the chronological age. Effective age in years based on the amount of care or attention the building has received. Care or attention could include renovation and modernization. If the building has had better than average maintenance, effective age would be less than the actual age. If they are have been inadequate maintenance, it may be greater. A 40-year building, the effective age of 20 years due to its rehabilitation or modernization. So, if economic age is the effective age plus remaining economic life, curable and incurable items. During the inspection of a building, the component parts of the building floors, furnaces need to be classified into curable and incurable items. Simply in order to ensure that the loss in the value suffered by the item, the classification of each item will of course depend on the age, condition of the general appeal of that component. Curable and incurable can refer to the item that is suffering from either physical or functional obsolescence. Curable item refers to those components of a building that are economically feasible to cure and therefore customarily repaired or replaced by the prudent property owner or a buyer. The term curable is used as it would be economically sound for a buyer for an owner to correct the physical situation based on the repair cost. Curable depreciation can arise because either through physical deterioration or functional obsolescence. Incurable item refers to the items or components that suffer a loss in value resulting from physical deterioration or functional obsolescence that either cannot be corrected or cannot be corrected at a cannot be corrected at a cost greater than the contribution to the value of the property. Incurable depreciation applies to items in its the structure that are not yet ready to be cured or that cannot be cured or for which it's not economically sound to cure at the time since the cost of correcting the condition or affecting cure is greater than the anticipated increase in value. With the correction condition may well be physically technically possible, the criteria is whether it is economically sound to cure. Incurable physical deterioration, short-lived versus long-lived. For the purpose of appraisal, incurable physical deterioration may be divided into short-lived and long-lived elements. Short-lived items are those components that are not yet ready to be replaced, but will require replacement sometimes before the end of the remaining economic life of the structure. In other words, their life expectancy is less than the remaining life of the building. So for example, the subject building has actual age of 30 years, but the effective age of 10 years and an economic life of 60 years. Based on this information, the building has remaining life of 50 years. The carpet in this building has effective age of 2 years and the remaining life of 6 years. That's the life expectancy is 8 years. Clearly, the carpet will require replacing before the end of the life of the building. Therefore, as a result, the carpet is considered to be a short-lived item because its remaining life is less than the remaining life of the building as a whole. Typically, items such as furnaces, roofs, kitchen, cabinetry, stove, fridge, etc., end up being short-lived items. Long-lived items are the ones which have suffered physical deterioration but will not require replacement at any point during the economic life of the structure. The such a property has actual age of 30 years, but the effective age is 10 years, and economic life of 60 years. So based on this remaining life 50 years, the copper plumbing in this building has effective age of 30 years and the remaining life of 50 years. Life expectancy is 80 years. Clearly, this plumbing will not require replacing before the end of life of the building. As a result, plumbing is considered to be long-lived item because its remaining life is at least same as the building as a whole. Typically, items foundation, framing are long-lived items. Method of estimating the accrued depreciation. The steps include economic life method, comparable sales method, economic life, age life method, and observed condition or the breakdown method. So in the economic life method, we look at the at the life of of the building and look at the effective age, and from that we get the get the fraction of effective life and versus economic life, and that's what is the accrued depreciation. So using economic age life method, using comparable sales method, where we find the property sales where the building is comparable, has same age or period of the object building, find the replacement cost of that building, deduct the value of the site, deduct the current value. And they also modify age method using curable and incurable physical deterioration, and then there's a observed condition of breakdown method. And with this, we are done with the cost approach. Thanks for your time.